I mentioned this on the show last week. J.D. Vance I had high expectations for him already, and he's blown them out of the water. J.D. Vance is in real hot water because he was on national television and articulated a classical concept, a concept that comes from classical philosophy and Christian theology, specifically the theology of St. Thomas Aquinas, about something called the Ordo Amoris, we call it the Order of Charity or the Order of Love. J.D. referred to it as even a hierarchy of love. Here, just to refresh your memory, here's what he said.
But there's this old school, and I think it's a very Christian concept, by the way, that you love your family, and then you love your neighbor, and then you love your community, and then you love your fellow citizens in your own country, and then after that, you can focus and prioritize the rest of the world.
Okay, so that's what J.D. Vance said. Imagine my surprise when a Yale professor, a guy who was a minister, a politician in the UK, who's now a Yale professor, Rory Stewart, tweets this out. He goes, "A bizarre take on John 15, 12, 13. Less Christian and more pagan tribal. We should start worrying when politicians become theologians, assume to speak for Jesus, and tell us in which order to love." So this is for those who don't know what John 12, 13 is. "This is my commandment, that you love one another as I have loved you. Greater love than this hath no man, than a man lay down his life for his friends." Okay. JD responds to this UK politician and Yale professor. Says, just Google Ordo Amoris. Aside from that, the idea that there isn't a hierarchy of obligations violates basic common sense. Does Rory really think his moral duties to his own children are the same as his duties to a stranger who lives thousands of miles away? Does anyone? JD is making a point that I made on the show last week, which was that, you're walking by a swimming pool, you see a little kid that you don't know drowning, you jump in and save the kid. But if you're walking by a big swimming pool and there are two kids drowning at the opposite ends of the pool, God forbid one of those is your kid, you have an obligation to save your kid first. It's good to save the other kid, but people would look at you as a little bit weird. It would seem like you're violating a natural obligation if you prefer to save the stranger kid to your own kid. So anyway, then this other Yale guy gets involved. This other Yale guy comes out, and he's one of the editors, I think he's the editor of the Yale Review. And he starts attacking JD over this. And I don't know, I'm beginning to wonder if anyone presently associated with Yale even owns a Bible. Because this other Yale guy, he said, it's not really a Christian concept. St. Thomas cleverly, if unconvincingly, smuggles this Aristotelian idea into Christian theology. So first of all, it's broadly Aristotelian. It's not even specifically Aristotelian, but it is broadly an idea that Aristotle sort of talks about. St. Thomas Aquinas talks about the Ordo Amoris specifically, explicitly. But also it is scriptural. There are many scriptural examples, but just to use a really prominent one, 1 Timothy 5:8. "If any man have not care of his own, and especially of those of his house, he hath denied the faith and is worse than an infidel." So that's all I'll say about this again. I just really love this story. Right now, go to expressvpn.com/Michael Knowles Show. Every time we go online, we're being watched. Your internet service provider sees everything. Every site you visit, every click you make. Here's the kicker. In the US, they can legally sell all that information to third parties. Your private data become just another commodity. That is exactly why I love ExpressVPN. It is this brilliant piece of technology that routes all of my online activity through secure, encrypted servers. Everything I do online is shielded from prying eyes. My internet provider, data brokers, all of them, because ExpressVPN hides my IP address. For the first time in years, my data and your data actually feel like they are ours again. Imagine that. It's really, really simple. Some people want to do things on the internet that they shouldn't be doing. But these days, with the amount of political surveillance that's going on, if you just go to ordinary conservative websites, express your political views in a normal way, that could be a liability given how corrupt our establishment is. It's why you want to make sure you keep your data yours, okay? I love ExpressVPN. Push one button on all your devices, your phone, your laptop, your tablet. You're good to go. You don't have to think about it again. Very, very easy to connect. Find out how you can get 4 months for free right now by going to expressvpn.com/Michael Michael Knowles Show, or by scanning the QR code on screen, expressvpn.com/Michael Knowles Show. Not just specifically for the substance of this or that saying that's come about, but because we are now talking about the hierarchy of love as a matter of national politics. Okay? We are, and we're doing it in Latin. Like when I voted for Trump in 2016, people said, Michael, he's not a real conservative. Michael, you're betraying your principles. Trump, you're being deceived, maybe. He's not a real conservative. Man, his VP is going on national television giving lectures about Thomistic philosophy in Latin. Okay? I think he's pretty conservative. This is about as good as it gets, man. This is a depth of conservatism that I did not think it was possible to reach at this stage in American public life. Just love it. It makes me feel so good. Stop right there. Stop. You got to ring that bell and subscribe. Thank you. I appreciate it.